What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Crown Racing video. Today we're going to be installing the Holley Super Sniper EFI kit. I'll show you guys what I have for the fuel pump, because you guys know that this was a carbureted car originally. So now I took the time to convert everything to low pressure for the carb. Had fun for like 4 years with that setup. Now we're going to switch over to the EFI, which means now we got to switch everything back over to high pressure fuel system. I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do with the fuel system, the pump, the lines, all that stuff, and then we'll start to get into the nitty gritty of wiring the EFI kit and installing it. Alright, so here's what we got. So what I ended up doing is I ordered a stock replacement pump for a New Edge Mustang GT because I wanted to have the stock fuel bucket. And the reason why is you could do like just a normal pickup in the tank, but I didn't really want to have to fight slosh issues and do some kind of custom like sump in the fuel tanks, anything like that. So I decided to go with the stock pump setup. And then the pump that's inside, I believe, is a Walbro 450. So the stock pump setup only comes with a feed line, and obviously with the Holley Super Sniper kit, it's a return system. So I had to put a return line onto this hat. As you can see, my coworker definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to welding, but this isn't even the impressive part yet. Look at how he got the inside. He had to weld the inside of these fittings on the bottom, and I don't even know how he fit the tungsten in there, but that's just trick of the trade, I guess. Got it welded all the way around, no problem. And I got all my wires labeled so I know what to connect. I have them D-pinned from the connector because the Holley Super Sniper computer is going to be controlling the pump, power, and ground. And then I have my fuel level wires marked as well because I have a gauge on my dash that's separate from the vehicle OEM harness. So I have my fuel level, my pump, power, and ground separated from the stock harness, and I'm about to drop it in the tank. Because I chose to do the stock method, there's just these two tabs right here, and you drop it in the piece of plastic that's already in there. I'll try and show you guys. You can see there's a bucket already in there, and it's just gonna clip on to that bucket that's in the tank already. Alright, so I got the fuel pump in the gas tank now. So now I'm gonna start making fuel lines. I got a bunch of PTFE stainless braided fuel line, and then I have all my AN fittings, and then I have my fuel filter. Just did like a normal Summit fuel filter. I'm doing dash 6 for the whole fuel system for feed and return. So now I'm just going to start making lines and running them under the car.
Alright, so I was fired. Marcus is going to show us how to put the AN fitting on the end of the line.
Hold on. Focus, baby. There we go. So we got the red piece on already. I'm going to take the tape off. And then normally you would take a screwdriver and flare the stainless, but it kind of did it already when Steve did his cut because his tape wasn't that tight. Okay. So the next step is this flare here. So you see how there's an inside lip on. Yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the PTFE up to that lip. Cool. So see how the plastic is flush with the inside? Yeah. Then you just start to put it together. So I'm going to take this side, run it in. So just click down right there. Very nice. So now what I'm going to do is I put the red piece in the vise, and I just got it like that. So now I'll just keep force pushing on this line while I use an adjustable wrench. Cool. And tighten this fit. I'll trade you. Pushing. I'm going to go all the way until these pieces are flush. And if you ask my co-workers, the flat sides and the flat side have to be lined up.
So you guys can see we got the feed right here. We already got that one running down, so now we're doing the return.
It's a struggle city. I'm going to do this.
My work phone on.
Okay, so you guys can see the rear axles right here, and this is what the mount for the fuel filter looks like. The fuel pump feed is right here. So we're going to take a line, run it to this side of the filter, and then the out of the filter is right here. It's going to go over the axle. I'm going to use this mount that came with the car from the factory over the axle, and then here's our stainless lines right here running down the transmission tunnel. So I'm going to take a marker and mark where I need to cut the lines, and then we'll put the 2 other fittings on, and that'll be it. I'll tell you when. Alright, hold on a sec. Two flat spots are in a bad spot for that side. So here's the Holley Super Sniper 650 throttle body injected unit. You can see it has these wires coming out of it that we'll have to connect the rest of the harness to. And for me, since I'm NA, which no supercharger, no turbo, I just have my fuel feed coming in. And then on the other side, there's actually a built-in fuel pressure regulator that regulates the fuel pressure to 53 PSI. You see the built-in fuel pressure regulator right here. So then this is my return circuit back to the tank. So that makes it pretty nice for NA guys. The fuel pressure regulator is built in. If you want to do a boosted application, you have to have an external fuel pressure regulator that references manifold vacuum. But in this case, I don't need one. And you can see that it has an IAC valve to control air at idle. And then it has built-in throttle position sensor, and I have the coolant sensor installed already. Coolant sensor is installed right there. And then I already have the AFR sensor. It's on bank 2, which is cylinders 5 through 8. It's sitting on this side. I have an AFR that's just a gauge that's on bank 1, cylinders 1 through 4. So that's nice. Now I'll be able to see my AFR from bank to bank. And thankfully with this, it's smart enough that you can tune 4 cylinders separately. So I can tune one side AFR and then tune the other side's AFR. So that's a nice bonus feature. So that's the overall unit, and then I'll show you guys the wiring harness. So there's a couple pieces to this wiring harness. This is the main harness that has like your switched 12 volts, your power and ground from the battery. This is fuel pump. Comes with a fuse for the fuel pump and a relay. And then that's the main stuff for this harness. And then the second harness that you have, this is all your additional circuits that you want to control. So if you wanted to control your nitrous solenoids or control your cooling fan, your AC compressor, that's what this harness will be for. So what we're going to start off today is we're going to work on getting the computer power and ground from the battery. The pink wire is the switch 12 volts from the key. So the trick with this that a lot of people make mistakes on is you have your cranking position with your key, and then you have like your all the time run position. This needs to have 12 volts while cranking and while just running. So you need to make sure you grab onto a circuit that has 12 volts in both of those key positions. And then this is the fuel pump out of this relay. So this is on the high current side that would go to the actual fuel pump itself. And then we'll ground it. Well, the ground wire will go to the back of the trunk in the rear of the car. So this is where we're going to start today, and then we'll start to work our way over to having the other controlled fan relay, stuff like that. And then here's the screen that comes with the kit. It's 3.5 inches big, and this will go inside of the car. And then this is the CAN communication circuit. So we'll have to run this through the car with some of these other wires. So I'm going to get started figuring out where I want to put this all in the engine bay, and then we'll see where we're going to run it through the firewall and all that stuff. So when you buy this kit, it comes with this quick start manual, which just has the basics of like all the pinout, how you should do your fuel system, stuff like that. And then there's a more in-depth instruction manual for like controlling your spark and stuff like that. So I guess with that said, I'm really impressed with these instructions. Like, it gives you every piece of information you would possibly need to get this all set up and started. As you can see, I already have a CD box, so we're going to be doing this wiring diagram. And I guess I'll explain this next before we start wiring everything. So here's my MSD Digital 6 Plus box. And what this box is doing is this distributor has a speed signal built into it. So this box looks at the speed signal that it's getting from the rotation of the distributor, and the box itself charges and discharges this coil to create the spark. And then this has built-in rev limiter, two-step, all of that stuff as well. So normally with this system set up, I still have springs that are controlling the mechanical advancement of the ignition timing. So what you do when you let the Holley Super Sniper control the ignition curve is you lock out this distributor, which means you get rid of the springs that control the centrifugal spark advance, and you get rid of the vacuum port and all that stuff. And instead of having springs control your advancement and all that, this computer controls when to fire this coil. And then that's what it picks if it wants 15 degrees, then higher RPM it does 28, 31, 36, all that stuff. So for now I'm going to let this box still control the coil itself. And I'll show you guys in the instructions how we're going to integrate both that computer to work with that computer. So what I'll be doing is this pink wire here is the tach output. So the wire here would go directly to the tachometer sitting in the car, because this computer has another circuit that's connected to the distributor, so it knows what RPM the engine's at. So this will be taking that tach output signal, so the Holley Super Sniper knows what the RPM is. Okay, so I just got majority of the wiring done for the Holley Super Sniper, so I'll show you guys how I decided to wire it, and we'll go from there. So it looks like a mess because I haven't tucked any of the wires away. But pretty much you have your main connector right here. This is going to be your power and ground for the computer, your 12-volt switched key on, and then this is your engine RPM signal. For me, I have an MSD distributor, so I can get my speed signal from the distributor, and I'm getting that from my MSD box. So this is my speed signal. We're not using this yellow wire, so I just have it electrical taped off, and I'll tuck it away. This pink wire is the 12-volt key switched on, and that comes to right here, this goes in through the fender into the car, and then it goes to the key ignition switch. These two right here are for my fuel pump, so this fuse for the fuel pump and relay for the fuel pump, and this thick blue is my positive out to the fuel pump, comes all the way around here, goes through the firewall back there, goes through the dash into that, through that insulator that you can see, goes through the seat, and then it comes to here. Power goes down to the pump through there, and then ground comes from the pump up, and it's getting grounded back here. Here's the ground cable for the fuel pump. And then these other two wires that you can see, this is for my fuel level. So one gauge goes back. This is it. One wire goes to the gauge for the fuel level, and then the other just gets grounded. And then right here you can see this is one of these is for the MSD box. The other positive is for the Holley Super Sniper computer. And then this last one is the power for the cooling fan and the cooling fan relay. And then I have two grounds over here. One for the MSD box, one for the Holley Super Sniper. And then I have all my wires. They come from behind the battery, and then they're gonna get tucked under this railing in front of the radiator. Alright, so we finally got the Holley Super Sniper wired, ready to go. I'm not gonna lie, this is not the first crank. I already let it run for a little bit because I didn't want to look like an idiot and it not starting while on camera. So I've already loaded the calibration of the computer with the basic information like cam information, idle vacuum, and then like AFR targets and RPM targets. So the computer's already been flashed, it's ready to go. So I showed you guys the wiring earlier, so now we're just going to crank it over and let you guys listen to it, and we'll go from there and talk about some other stuff. I'm still in my car clothes, so the nice racing seat's not installed in the car yet. We'll put
Dirty
that
boy.
in later. For now, we're going to sit on the floor. I kind of like this. Do you think I'll pass tech?
Are you gonna start it right now?
Race like this? Well, let me show them the... So you guys, I don't know if you can hear the fuel pump kicking on, but the fuel pump just kicked on and we heard it build pressure and check. So this is the normal screen. The screen when you go and do startup is gonna be here. So when you go, you're gonna, the first time you hook it up and give it power, you're gonna go through the wizard tab. And the stuff I just talked about, you're gonna tell it what your camshaft specs are, what AFR target, what RPM target you're shooting for, what your displacement of the engine is, basic stuff like that. And then when you're ready, I've already messed around with the tuning a little bit. We'll do a whole nother video on like tuning with your laptop, because this has the ability to tune for you, but of course we're not going to do that. We like to tune our own stuff, so we'll do a whole nother video about how to tune your own car and stuff like that. But for now, just switch over to monitor. The computer controlling my cooling fan. So fan number 1 is the cooling fan. Then you can see the target AFR for idle right now. You can see it's not learning because the engine's too cold. I think we're done.
Pretty good, man.
I call that an EFI install. We got it first try. Finally, Mustang build, done. So, I mean, from subframe connectors, shimming the diff really tight to make it posy, angle kit, coilovers, and converting to true rear coilover, entire EFI fuel system from pump, lines, and everything for high pressure. Holley Super Sniper installed to make the car EFI, Sparco Sprint safety seat, 5-point harness bar in the rear, wheels, and I think that's pretty much everything we've done to the car. Now we need to get an alignment for the front, get a good drift alignment, and which is pretty much going to be -4 degrees camber, as much caster as I can throw at the car, and like 0.5 toe out. And then we need to tune it, do some witchcraft with our laptop, tune the engine. I was driving it yesterday with the self-learn closed loop ability, and it's pig rich, so we need to take some fuel out of it. And then besides that, car's done. I've already done a test drive like I said, and it spins the tire in every gear with a 225. So I don't think getting the car sideways will be the hard part. It'll be keeping the tail from coming around too far, which will be the hard part for this car. But yeah, I'm super excited.
Dude, awesome build. Let's go. Just in time,
I totally
too.
forgot handbrake install, too. I was listing all those parts. Forgot the Willwood handbrake and the dual rear caliper.
A long 6 months, but now...
Details. We just did a lot to the car. And subframe connectors. Awesome. Let's back it out of the garage.
Let's do it. Back her out for her maiden voyage.